I need to teach you something very important that I have learned, and this is a strategy you can use to win so many more chess games. The good thing with the strategy is you can play this no matter what opening you play. So for the opening, what I always do is I try to keep things very simple. I basically just try to follow opening principles. And opening principles, this means that we want to have a pawn in the center, we want to protect it with a different pawn, and we literally just want to develop the pieces, meaning we want to move them from the starting squares, and we want to castle quickly. And I know this sounds like the basic advice that they give to beginners all of the time, but just following this advice will help you. And this is good enough to get to 2000 rating on chess.com. So we don't need to memorize, you don't need to do anything complicated. We just need to follow opening principles. And now we are in a position here where we have both castled, and it's now in the middle game that I will teach you an amazing strategy that you can use, and this will really help to win so many games. So the first thing is, your opponent just made a move. You need to force yourself to learn this habit that whenever they make a move, you stop, you pause, you sit on your hands, you look and you see what is their move doing first before you continue with your plan. Well, they castled. That's not really a move we need to worry about. It's okay. So there is not really anything going on here. Then when it is our turn to move, we always want to go through the same steps. And those steps are C, C, T, O. First, we need to see, do we have a check? No. Then we need to see, do we have a capture? But it's important that you only play checks and captures that win you material, or maybe that can lead to a tactic. We don't want to go for equal trades. We want to avoid those as much as possible. So I'm looking right now, CCTO, checks, captures, those are the first steps. So I'm looking, no checks. Well, we do have a capture. And that capture wins a pawn. But of course, in this opening, it's very dangerous to open up your opponent's diagonal. Plus, what if they attack the pawn? Do we want to play something like b5? Do we want to open up this for the bishop? I don't know. I think this looks very shady, very weakening for our structure. And if you are unsure if something is dangerous and you think, okay, this might lead to problems, please don't play it. We just want to play solid and safe moves instead. So no checks, no captures. Then we go to the next step, threats. What is a threat? A threat is a way that you are trying to maybe set up a checkmate, set up a tactic, or try to win material. This position is currently way too closed and boring, meaning there is no threat here. There is not really anything we can do to try to set up a tactic. And then we go to the most important stage, the most difficult one to master as well, which is the O for optimization. And optimization means that we want to play with pieces that we haven't used yet, or we want to play with our E, D, and C pawns. So what I will do is I will play pawn to C5, because this increases our control over the center. And if they take my pawn, I already had a bishop there that was ready to recapture. They take on D5, but that is why in the opening I told you, you not only need a pawn in the center, you also need one that's backing it up, that's protecting it. So that way you can capture back if anything happens. Okay, again, every time your opponent makes a move, we need to double check what is going on, because they are attacking this pawn, but it's attacked once, protected twice, so yeah, nothing to worry about. Checks, do we have checks? No. Captures, do we have captures? Yes, but we don't want to go for too many equal captures. This is just trading without any purpose. Threats, do we have a threat? Any way to win material? I don't think so. So again, optimize. Which of these pieces could we use? Well, I think a bunch of them, but I'll just go for knight to c6. This is very simple. Okay. Again, they move. We need to pause. What is this doing? Nothing special. It's all protected. Nothing to worry about. Okay. No checks, no captures, no threats that we want to play, because we already knew that. And that's the good thing with the strategy. So many people ask me, like, how do you do this in a rapid game? Well, the thing is, you don't go through CCT over and over again if not much changed. Here, the only thing that changed is this bishop. So if nothing's happening with like capturing that bishop for free, or yeah, probably there won't be any CCT. So we are just continuously going for the optimized stage, which again, I'm just moving one of my pieces here to protect my pawn so that everything is fine. Okay, they play rook here. One of the things that I'm doing now recently that I used to not always do is whenever they have a piece in my position, I try to see, can I get rid of it? Can I get rid of it? Because if they have a piece that's on your side of the board, on the first 4 ranks, it's very dangerous to keep it there. At some point you might forget about something and you will blunder the game. And at any time you just want to avoid calculation and you want to avoid blunders. So I would love to play pawn to h6, especially because they cannot go back. They would just be trapping their own bishop. But if they take, they would at least temporarily be winning a pawn there. So yes, this is my plan now, but I have to make sure that we don't drop this pawn. What could I do? Well, I'm going to push it to the light square because now all of these are connected. We have actually quite some good structure going on here towards the queen side, and then I could have played this move on the next move, but hey, they just moved the bishop, so I guess that is not happening here. Okay, again, checks. Oh no, not checks. First we need to look what they are doing, right? Nothing. But we need to double check. I always do this subconsciously most of the time, but we need to double check what they are doing. Nothing. Okay, no checks, not really captures except blunders. Okay. Do we have threats? Any way that we can threaten material? I'm not so sure. So I think it's again going to be optimized. Well, that's a rook we haven't used yet, so let's just move it here. They move the queen. Whenever they move the queen, you really have to triple check what's going on. Because they are already trying to go for a potential attack on that side of the board. The good thing is, not much is going on, but I think here I will follow the safety first principle. If we play pawn to h6, we already make it impossible for them to go there with 2 pieces, and now their queen move is also quite useless because it's not going to do anything. They play this here, and I think that's very interesting, because we are going through checks, captures, threats. We have no checks, no useful captures, but I'm looking at this move potentially. Queen to d7, and this also puts up a threat. We might be winning that pawn, and that's a very important pawn. The question is, do they have any counterplay? I think maybe they have knight e5, and then it's looking a bit ridiculous, because we cannot take the pawn, and if we take the knight, we are just getting ourselves into more trouble. So this looks interesting, but I think it doesn't, but it doesn't work immediately. Okay. So no checks, no captures, no threats, optimize. Since most of our pieces have been optimized, I will start using my pawns here on the queen side. That rook move doesn't do anything, but I'm always checking to make sure what their move is doing. Okay, and we are just attacking on the queen side. They play knight to e5, and I've said before, we don't want to go for equal trades. We don't want to go for equal trades. So first I see what they are doing. They are attacking a knight, but it is protected. Okay, then I go through CCT, no checks. The capture here is bad. This capture is equal, so we won't play it. This capture is still losing. Okay, do we have threats? And I think here we have a threat. We have pawn to b4, and this threatens to win their knight, potentially. Okay, they are going for trades, and that's one thing you need to realize with chess is you cannot stop your opponent from going for trades. If they want to go for trades, they will go for trades, but we are just not going to trade anything useless ourselves. The knight here looks a little bit out of place. I think this might be getting trapped, and it also doesn't really have any good follow-up squares. So no checks, no captures, but we do have a threat, the threat that I talked about before potentially. This move, queen to d7, and then we are potentially threatening to win that pawn there. Okay, and they just push it to h4. Okay, h4 doesn't do anything, they just wanted to solve their own problems. So, no checks, no captures, not really a threat. If we move the rook, we attack the knight, but it's fine. So, optimize is the next step. So I'm going to move this rook, and I'm just going to put it here on d8, so that at least I am protecting this pawn. Okay, they move the bishop. I don't really see anything spectacular because this is all just protected. I think here we have a threat. Checks, captures, threats. This is a threat. We are threatening to win the queen. So this is definitely an interesting move we can play. Okay, they move the queen, they attack a pawn, but that's protected. But you see, we need to double check everything. But now things are getting more interesting, because now this knight is really hanging. It's hanging, it's just out there and protected. And the queen is also not doing too great on that square. So I always do the same, and here I see a potential threat. We are threatening the queen and also optimizing because we are moving our pieces closer into their position. So I really like this move. And yes, they could trade, but this would be extremely dangerous. They would be getting an attack towards their king. Maybe the queen would go in. Probably they have to play f3 to fix it. But yeah, their kingside structure is very weakened, very much weakened if they start pushing the pawns there. Okay, and they play queen here. So again, we need to double check, but everything is protected. So, do we have any checks? No. Any captures? Yes. We can sack a knight. It's just losing, but we need to have a look at it. We can still move the rook somewhere and also have a discovery on the knight. I think that might also be interesting. But I'm also looking at this bishop, because I feel like the last move that they played, they are really taking away squares from their bishop. So, what if I play pawn to f6? What if I play pawn to f6 and I attack their bishop? Well, if they go here, they lose it. If they go here, they lose it. Maybe they go there, but I think there will be trouble for them. This bishop, it's in my territory, it's being attacked. This queen is the only thing that's holding it together. So I think this is a good threat move. Yeah, they go here. And now the question is, can we force the queen to move? Because if we can force the queen to move, then we simply win the bishop. Or we have to move our rook so that we have the attack on the knight and an attack on the bishop. But I think then we are running into complex situations. We might just have a threat on the queen. g5, take. Yeah, I think we can take with both. And then the queen has to move. Probably I think this is better. The queen has to move. And wherever the queen goes, they are dropping that bishop. So in general, I don't recommend pushing pawns near your own king, but if you can win a bishop, yeah, then you have to do it. So we pretty much just won a free piece here just by following this very simple strategy. I think my opponent is panicking a little bit, but I won't be grabbing that because they might have a follow-up fork with the pawn. So I will just push, and I will just see if I can be safe. Safety first, if I can move my knight somewhere. Yes, for example, here. Okay, so I think we are doing great. We were actually able to win material. And it is very important that you learn the second part of the strategy as well. The first part of the strategy is that we want to avoid trades and to use the CCTO to get a winning position. But the moment that we are up material, we are going to completely switch the strategy. And now I'm just looking for trades. Every single trade right now is something that we need to go for, because every single trade is going to help us get closer to an endgame, and in the endgame, with extra pieces, we will be able to outplay our opponent. And I think here we even have a very beautiful move, which is rook takes c5. This is a trade. It's a trade that's slightly better for them, but we have a beautiful follow-up move, knight to e4, potentially bishop to c5, pinning the queen to the king. So this is all looking great. If they take this, I think they are also in trouble because we can take there, we can take the bishop. So that really doesn't look too good for them. And I think if they take that pawn, let's see, that's the most complicated one. I think we still have bishop c5, pinning the queen. They cannot take the knight. They might have to sacrifice the rook. And if they take the knight, we take the queen. That was a lot of variations. I hope you were able to follow some of that. I don't think it's very easy, but this looks to me like it's just completely losing. I think here we can simply play this bishop c5 and pin the queen. Yeah, I thought so. I thought they might do this and put the rook in between, but that's perfectly fine because now, yeah, they still have issues. Like this rook is now hanging. So I'm just looking for mass trades. I'm looking for mass trades. And we are still now in an endgame where we have an extra bishop. So that's fine. But I think we have something better than an extra bishop. Look at this king. This king is all out in the open. The bishop is cutting off the diagonal. CCT still works. We need to look for checks. I think we might be getting a checkmate here soon. And this is actually a very common checkmating pattern. But if you haven't seen it before, you might not be able to find a checkmate. There is a checkmate here and 2. Checkmate and 2. What we need to do is we need to play bishop g2. Because bishop g2, this takes away the diagonals from the king. Checkmate and 3, actually. Sorry, my bad. A checkmate and 3. Then we can go back with the bishop, and now the king has to go to the corner, and then we simply have a follow-up checkmate.